The Sound of Colors, A Journey Through Synesthesia. This book explores the phenomenon of synesthesia, where individuals experience a sort of mixing of sensory perceptions, such as seeing colors when perceiving letters or numbers. The book offers a compilation of personal experiences, scientific insights, and creative interpretations, allowing the reader to experience the world in a whole new way. Chapter 1: A World of Colors. I have always been fascinated by the power of color. As an artist, I have spent countless hours studying the ways in which colors interact, blend, and transform. But it wasn't until I discovered the phenomenon of synesthesia that I truly began to appreciate the deep, complex relationship between colors and the human mind. Synesthesia is a rare condition in which the senses become intertwined, leading to a kind of sensory crossover. For some people, this means that they might taste colors or hear shapes. For others, it means that they experience a kind of color hearing, a phenomenon in which colors are perceived as having specific sounds or musical qualities. As I began to explore the world of synesthesia, I found myself captivated by the way in which colors could take on a life of their own. I met individuals who saw entire symphonies of color when they listened to music, or who could taste the rich, velvety texture of purple with every breath they took. I realized that for these individuals, the world was a much richer, more vibrant place than it was for those of us who experienced the senses in a more traditional way. Colors became more than just shades and hues, they were portals into new worlds of sensory experience. And so, I set out to explore this world of synesthesia for myself. I spoke to scientists who were working to unravel the mysteries of the condition, and I sought out artists who were using synesthesia as a tool to create new forms of expression. But most importantly, I sought out individuals who experienced synesthesia firsthand, eager to learn from their unique perspectives and to see the world through their eyes. As I delved deeper into this world of sensory magic, I knew that I had found a subject that was as fascinating as it was elusive. But I also knew that by exploring the power of synesthesia, I could unlock new insights into the human mind, and create art that was truly transformative. This book is the result of that journey, a journey that took me to the farthest reaches of the mind, and back again. It is a journey that has forever changed the way I see the world, and one that I hope will change the way you see it, too. Chapter 2: The Science of Synesthesia. As I delved deeper into the world of synesthesia, I found myself drawn to the scientific research that sought to understand this fascinating condition. I wanted to know what was happening in the brain of someone experiencing synesthesia, and what made this condition so unique. Through my research, I learned that synesthesia is a result of cross-wiring in the brain, a kind of neurological mix-up that causes different parts of the brain to interact in unexpected ways. In most people, sensory information is processed in specific areas of the brain, with little or no overlap between these areas. But in people with synesthesia, this processing is more diffuse, with multiple senses and neural pathways interacting in unexpected ways. I was fascinated by the fact that synesthesia seemed to blur the boundaries between the senses, creating a kind of synesthetic symphony that was completely unique to each individual. For example, some people might see specific colors when they hear certain musical notes, while others might see shapes or textures. But what was most intriguing to me was the fact that synesthesia seemed to be associated with heightened creativity and artistic ability. Many famous artists, musicians, and writers have been known to experience synesthesia, and research has shown that synesthetes often excel in areas that require creative thinking or spatial reasoning. As I continued to explore the science of synesthesia, I realized that there was still so much we didn't know about this condition. But I also knew that by studying synesthesia, we could gain new insights into the way the brain works, and perhaps even unlock new forms of creativity and expression. And so, armed with my newfound knowledge, I set out to meet with scientists who were working to unravel the mysteries of synesthesia. I wanted to know what they had discovered, and what questions they were still trying to answer. As I sat down with these brilliant minds, I realized that synesthesia was not just a quirky, rare condition, it was a window into the deepest mysteries of the human mind. And I knew that my journey had only just begun. Chapter 3: Seeing the World in a New Light. As I delved deeper into the world of synesthesia, I found that the more I learned, the more I began to see the world in a new way. Colors that I had once taken for granted now seemed to shimmer and dance before my eyes, and sounds that I had heard 1,000 times before suddenly took on new meanings and nuances. I found myself exploring the world with a newfound sense of curiosity and wonder, eager to experience all of the sensory marvels that life had to offer. I began to seek out new forms of art and expression, eager to see how different artists were using synesthesia to create works of staggering beauty and complexity. Through my travels, I met with painters who used color to convey the emotion and texture of the world around them, and musicians who crafted intricate soundscapes that spoke to the deepest parts of the soul. I also met with writers who used words to create vivid sensory experiences, and dancers who brought to life the very essence of synesthesia through movement and gesture. But what struck me most about these artists was their ability to see the world in a way that was utterly unique. They saw beauty in places where others saw only mundanity, and they were able to translate their sensory experiences into works of art that spoke to the very essence of the human experience. As I reflected on my journey, I realized that synesthesia had given me a gift, the gift of seeing the world in a new light. Colors that had once seemed dull and unremarkable now seemed to burst with life and vitality, and sounds that had once seemed unremarkable now spoke to me in a language all their own. And so, armed with this newfound perspective, I set out to create works of art that would speak to the very essence of synesthesia. I painted with colors that seemed to dance and sing on the canvas, and I composed music that evoked the very essence of synesthetic experience. Through it all, I knew that synesthesia was more than just a neurological quirk, it was a gateway to a world of sensory marvels, and a key to unlocking new forms of creative expression. And I knew that my journey was far from over, there were still so many wonders to explore, and so many sensory experiences waiting to be discovered. Chapter 4: The Beauty in Our Differences. As I continued to explore the world of synesthesia, I began to realize that this condition was not just an interesting neurological phenomenon, it was a powerful reminder of the beauty and complexity of human differences. Each synesthete that I met had a unique sensory experience, with colors, shapes, and sounds that were entirely their own. And yet, despite these differences, there was a sense of commonality and understanding that linked us all together. Through my interactions with other synesthetes, I began to see the world through their eyes, and to appreciate the ways in which their synesthetic experiences gave them a unique perspective on the world. I saw how synesthesia had inspired artists to create works of stunning beauty and complexity, and how it had helped scientists to gain new insights into the workings of the brain. But I also saw the ways in which synesthesia could be misunderstood and stigmatized by those who didn't understand it. Many synesthetes had faced discrimination or ridicule because of their unique sensory experiences, and had been told that their perceptions of the world were somehow wrong or abnormal. As I continued to explore this world, I realized that the key to unlocking the true beauty of synesthesia lay in celebrating our differences, rather than seeking to erase them. Instead of trying to force synesthetes to conform to normal perceptions of the world, we needed to embrace their unique perspectives and use them to create new forms of art, science, and expression. And so, armed with this newfound understanding, I set out to spread the word about synesthesia and the beauty of human diversity. I spoke at conferences, wrote articles and books, and created art that celebrated the unique sensory experiences of synesthetes around the world. Through it all, I realized that synesthesia was not just a condition, but a reminder of the infinite diversity and complexity of the human experience. And I knew that by embracing this diversity, we could unlock new forms of creativity, expression, and understanding, and create a world that was richer, more vibrant, and more beautiful than we ever imagined possible. Chapter 5: The Power of Synesthesia. As I delved deeper into the world of synesthesia, I began to realize the incredible power that this condition held, not just as a tool for creative expression, but as a window into the workings of the human brain itself. Through my conversations with scientists and researchers, I learned about the many ways in which synesthesia was being studied and understood. Researchers were using imaging techniques to study the brains of synesthetes and gain new insights into the ways in which different sensory modalities were interconnected. They were also using synesthesia as a tool for understanding the workings of the brain in general, using the unique perspectives of synesthetes to gain new insights into perception, memory, and cognition. As I learned about these exciting developments, I realized that synesthesia had the potential to revolutionize our understanding of the human brain, not just as a collection of discrete sensory modalities, but as a complex and interconnected network of experiences and sensations. But perhaps even more importantly, I realized that synesthesia held a power to connect us to each other and to the world in ways that were truly transformative. By embracing the unique sensory experiences of synesthetes, we could gain new perspectives on the world around us, and deepen our understanding of the human experience. And as we did so, we could begin to break down the barriers that separated us, not just as individuals, but as a society. We could learn to celebrate our differences, and to use them to create new forms of art, science, and expression. As I reflected on my journey, I realized that synesthesia had given me far more than just a new perspective on the world. It had given me a sense of purpose and meaning, and a sense of connection to something greater than myself. And so, armed with this new sense of purpose and understanding, I set out to share the power of synesthesia with the world, to inspire others to see the world in a new light, and to embrace the infinite diversity and complexity of the human experience. Chapter 6: The Future of Synesthesia. As I continued to explore the world of synesthesia, I began to wonder what the future might hold for this fascinating condition. Would we one day be able to unlock the full potential of synesthesia, and harness its power to create new forms of art, science, and expression? I knew that the potential was there. With advances in technology and neuroscience, we were learning more about the human brain than ever before. And as we did so, we were beginning to understand the ways in which synesthesia was intertwined with other aspects of perception, memory, and cognition. But there were also challenges to be faced. Despite the growing awareness and acceptance of synesthesia, many people still struggle to understand or appreciate the unique sensory experiences of synesthetes. And many synesthetes still face discrimination or stigma because of their condition. As I pondered these challenges, I realized that the key to unlocking the full potential of synesthesia lay not just in scientific breakthroughs, but in societal change. We needed to work together to create a world that celebrated and embraced diversity, rather than seeking to erase it. And so, I began to focus my efforts on advocacy and education, speaking at conferences and events, writing articles and books, and working with organizations to promote awareness and understanding of synesthesia. Through these efforts, I saw the beginnings of a shift in the way that synesthesia was perceived and understood. More and more people were beginning to see the unique sensory experiences of synesthetes as a source of beauty and inspiration, rather than something to be feared or misunderstood. And I knew that this was just the beginning. With continued efforts to promote awareness and understanding, we could create a world that truly celebrated and embraced the infinite diversity and complexity of the human experience. As I looked to the future, I felt a sense of excitement and possibility. Synesthesia had shown me the incredible power of human differences, and the potential that lay within each and every one of us. And I knew that, as long as we continued to work together, we could unlock that potential, and create a world that was more vibrant, more beautiful, and more connected than we ever imagined possible. Chapter 7: A World of Synesthetic Wonder. As my work in synesthesia advocacy and education continued, I began to see signs of a world that was truly embracing the power of synesthesia, a world where sensory experiences were celebrated, and where the boundaries between different modalities were blurred. In this world, synesthetes were seen not as outsiders or anomalies, but as valuable contributors to the fabric of society. Artists, scientists, and creatives of all kinds were exploring the ways in which their unique sensory experiences could be harnessed to create new forms of expression and understanding. Music, art, and literature were infused with new layers of complexity and beauty, as synesthetic experiences were incorporated into the creative process. And in the realm of science, researchers were using the insights of synesthetes to gain new insights into perception, memory, and cognition, unlocking secrets of the brain that had previously been hidden from view. As I looked out at this world of synesthetic wonder, I felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. This was the world that I had been working towards, a world where diversity was celebrated, and where the infinite richness of the human experience was embraced. But even as I marveled at the progress that had been made, I knew that there was still work to be done. There were still those who clung to outdated and harmful ideas about synesthesia, and who sought to erase or suppress the unique sensory experiences of others. And so, I redoubled my efforts, working tirelessly to promote awareness and understanding of synesthesia, and to advocate for the rights of synesthetes everywhere. Through it all, I never lost sight of the power of synesthesia, the power to connect us to each other and to the world in ways that were truly transformative. And as I looked out at the world of synesthetic wonder that was emerging around me, I knew that this was a power that would continue to inspire and amaze for generations to come. Chapter 8: A Synesthetic Legacy. As I continued to work towards a world where synesthesia was fully embraced and celebrated, I began to think about the legacy that I would leave behind. What would be my contribution to the world of synesthesia, and how would I be remembered by those who came after me? I knew that the answer lay not just in my advocacy and education work, but in the connections that I had made with other synesthetes, the friendships and collaborations that had emerged from our shared experiences of sensory wonder. And so, I began to focus more on building and strengthening these connections, working with other synesthetes to create new forms of art, science, and expression that would showcase the power and beauty of synesthesia. Together, we created new musical compositions that were infused with the colors and textures of our synesthetic experiences. We collaborated on scientific research projects, using our unique insights to shed new light on the workings of the human brain. And we shared our personal stories and experiences, creating a community of support and understanding that extended across the globe. Through it all, I knew that I was building a synesthetic legacy, a legacy that would continue to inspire and amaze for generations to come. And as I looked back on my life, I felt a sense of pride and fulfillment in all that I had accomplished. But even as I celebrated my achievements, I knew that the work of synesthesia advocacy and education would continue long after I was gone. There would always be more to be done, more connections to be made, more barriers to be broken down, and more minds to be opened to the wonders of synesthesia. And so, I pledged to continue my work for as long as I was able, knowing that my legacy would be not just what I accomplished in my lifetime, but the inspiration and guidance that I provided for those who came after me. For in the end, I knew that the power of synesthesia would endure, and that the world would be all the more vibrant and beautiful for it. Chapter 9: A Synesthetic Future. As I looked out at the world around me, I felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. The world of synesthesia that I had worked so hard to build was continuing to evolve and expand, opening up new possibilities for connection and expression. New technologies were emerging that allowed for even deeper exploration of synesthetic experiences, from virtual reality systems that could simulate multisensory environments, to brain imaging techniques that could reveal the intricate neural networks that underlie synesthesia. And as these technologies continued to develop, I knew that the possibilities for synesthetic expression and understanding were truly limitless. But even as I marveled at the progress that had been made, I knew that there were still challenges to be faced. There were still those who did not understand or appreciate the power of synesthesia, and who sought to marginalize or suppress those who experienced it. And so, I continued my work of advocacy and education, working to promote awareness and understanding of synesthesia, and to ensure that synesthetes everywhere were able to embrace and celebrate their unique sensory experiences. And as I looked out at the synesthetic future that was unfolding before me, I knew that the work would never truly be done. There would always be new challenges and obstacles to overcome, and new opportunities to explore and create. But through it all, I was filled with a sense of hope and excitement, knowing that the world of synesthesia was a world of infinite wonder and possibility. And as I continued to work towards a more synesthetic future, I knew that the journey would be just as rewarding and transformative as the destination. Chapter 10: A Synesthetic Legacy continues. As I grew older, I knew that it was time to start thinking about passing the torch to the next generation of synesthetes. I had accomplished so much in my lifetime, but I also knew that there was still so much more to be done. And so, I began to focus more on mentoring and supporting young synesthetes, helping them to navigate the challenges and opportunities of their own synesthetic experiences. Together, we explored new forms of expression and connection, from creating art and music that showcased our synesthetic visions, to developing new scientific research projects that could help to uncover the mysteries of the synesthetic brain. And as I watched these young synesthetes grow and thrive, I knew that my synesthetic legacy was continuing on through them, that the work that I had done would live on in their own contributions to the world of synesthesia. But even as I celebrated their accomplishments, I also knew that the work of synesthesia advocacy and education would never truly be done. There would always be new synesthetes to connect with, new communities to build, and new minds to open to the wonders of synesthesia. And so, I continued to work, knowing that the legacy that I had built would be a part of something much greater than myself, a movement towards a more synesthetic and vibrant world, where the power of sensory experience was fully embraced and celebrated. And as I looked back on my life, I felt a sense of gratitude and pride for all that I had accomplished. For in the end, I knew that my synesthetic legacy would continue on, shining a light for future generations of synesthetes to follow.